All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into the endocrine system.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we've got some excerpts here from a biology textbook.
Okay.
Um, this is like one of the most vital systems in the body.
Absolutely. That's fascinating.
It's controlling so much. And just reading this, I was thinking,
Yeah.
it's like a messenger system.
It is. It's a communication network
Yeah, exactly.
throughout your whole body.
It's using hormones as its messengers to kind of get everything,
Yeah.
growth, energy,
No.
even mood.
Mood, sleep
Yeah, all that stuff.
really impacts everything.
So before we get too far, I think it's good to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Um, when we talk about hormones,
Okay.
this textbook mentions three main types:
Right.
peptides, steroids, tyrosine derivatives.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah. And I vaguely remember them from bio class, but I don't know.
Sure.
I think it would be helpful to just go over what each of those
Yeah.
is.
Absolutely. So each of those types of hormones has like a unique chemical structure, and that impacts how it actually interacts with your cells.
Okay.
So you can imagine like each cell in your body has these little receptors on them, and they're like little doorways.
Okay.
And the hormones have to have the right key to fit into that doorway.
Oh, so it's like a lock and key system,
Exactly.
but on a microscopic level.
Exactly.
Wow.
So for example, peptide hormones, they act like messengers that kind of knock on the cell's door.
Okay.
They deliver a message without actually going inside.
Interesting. So then how does the message get through if it's not actually
Yeah.
going into the cell?
So they use what are called second messengers, and these are molecules that are already inside the cell.
Okay.
And they essentially relay the signal from the peptide hormone to the machinery inside the cell.
So it's like a relay race.
It is like a relay race.
Yeah, where the baton gets passed from one to the next.
Exactly.
Right.
So they're not directly like going in and changing things.
Mm.
They're triggering a cascade of events that lead to the effect.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, steroid hormones are different. They're like the VIPs.
Okay.
They have like backstage passes. They can go right through the cell membrane,
Oh.
and they can directly influence the cell's control center, which is the nucleus.
So they have more direct control over what's happening.
Much more direct control.
Okay, what about tyrosine derivatives?
Tyrosine derivatives are kind of the interesting ones because some of them act like steroids,
Oh.
and they'll go right to the nucleus, and others use second messengers like peptides.
Okay, so they're kind of a mix.
They're a mix. They have a split personality.
So it really just depends on...
It depends on which tyrosine derivative we're talking about.
Okay.
But a good example of one that acts like a steroid is thyroid hormone.
Okay.
So that goes right to the nucleus.
So basically the chemical structure of each hormone is really dictating how it's interacting
Yes.
with the cells, and then that's ultimately affecting how our body functions.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating how this whole thing is actually regulated. And to understand that, we need to talk about endocrine glands and this concept of negative feedback.
Okay, let's get into it. I'm ready to learn more
Right.
about all these fascinating processes.
Let's do it. So think about it this way. All of our endocrine glands, they're kind of like little factories
Okay.
that are scattered all throughout the body. And each of them is responsible for producing and releasing specific hormones.
Wow.
So we have, the pituitary gland, the adrenal glands, the thyroid, the pancreas, and there are others, but they all kind of work together like a finely tuned orchestra.
Okay, I like that image
Yeah.
of factories and then an orchestra.
Yeah, they've got to be in sync.
Right, exactly. So then how do they know
Right.
when to release these hormones? How do they know how much to release?
That is the question.
Because it seems like, it could get out of whack pretty easily.
It definitely could if we didn't have this really cool system called negative feedback.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
So negative feedback, you can think of it like a thermostat. For your hormones,
Right.
it's constantly monitoring the levels and making adjustments to make sure everything stays stable.
So it's like maintaining homeostasis.
Exactly.
I get the thermostat analogy, but can you give me a specific
Yeah,
example
absolutely.
with hormones?
So let's take blood sugar regulation.
Okay,
Super important for energy balance, right?
right.
So when you eat something, your blood sugar rises.
Okay.
And this triggers your pancreas to release insulin. And insulin is a hormone that acts like a key to let sugar into your cells for energy.
Okay.
Then as your blood sugar level starts to drop back to a normal range, the pancreas senses that and reduces insulin production.
So it doesn't keep plummeting.
Exactly. It prevents
Yeah.
your blood sugar from going too low.
Oh, so it's this constant back and forth.
It is a constant dance
Yeah.
between rising blood sugar, the pancreas releasing insulin, bringing it back down,
And that's happening with all sorts of hormones.
with so many hormones throughout the body.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah, this whole feedback loop. It's super important to make sure that the hormone levels stay in a healthy range
Right.
because any kind of imbalance can really throw things off and lead to problems.
Yeah. And we're going to get into, I think, a little bit later, some of the
Yeah,
health problems that can come up.
definitely.
But I'm curious to learn a little bit more about some of these like star players.
Yes.
These hormones, what are the big ones? What do they do?
Let's highlight a few.
Yeah.
So let's start with growth hormone, or HGH.
Okay.
It's produced by the pituitary gland.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as the foreman on a construction site.
Okay.
It's directing the building and repair of all the tissues in your body.
Wow.
So it stimulates cell division, it boosts protein synthesis, it even helps utilize fat stores for energy.
So this is basically what's responsible for us growing,
Yes.
from childhood into adulthood.
Exactly. And it continues to play a role even as adults
Oh, wow.
in tissue regeneration and maintenance.
Okay, cool. So are there other hormones involved in kind of managing our energy and metabolism?
Yeah, definitely. So the pancreas, besides insulin, also produces glucagon.
Okay.
And glucagon acts kind of in opposition to insulin.
Okay.
So while insulin lowers blood sugar, glucagon raises it.
Okay.
It does this by stimulating the liver to release stored glucose.
Oh, so it's tapping into those reserves.
Exactly, tapping into the reserves.
Wow. And so together, these two are really maintaining
Yeah.
a stable blood sugar level,
They're a dynamic duo.
which is super important.
Super important because our cells need that constant energy supply.
Yeah, it's like that seesaw analogy again, right?
It is. It's a constant.
Keeping everything balanced.
Adjustment to stay level.
So let's move on to maybe the adrenal glands.
Okay.
What's going on there?
The adrenal glands, these are fascinating. They sit right on top of your kidneys,
Okay.
and they produce a bunch of different hormones, including cortisol.
Cortisol. Okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, cortisol. It's our primary stress hormone.
Yeah, and I feel like it gets a lot of negative attention.
It does, but it's actually really important for survival. Okay. So when you're facing like a challenge or stressor, cortisol kicks in, it increases your blood sugar, it suppresses non-essential functions like immune response to kind of conserve energy.
So your body is like prioritizing what it needs.
Yes. Prioritizing immediate survival.
To get through this moment.
This is all part of that fight or flight response.
Oh, right. Okay, so it is important.
It is.
But I guess if you have too much of it.
Yeah, chronic stress and having high levels of cortisol for a long time, that can be a problem.
Okay.
It can lead to things like impaired immunity, weight gain, sleep disturbances.
So it's just finding that balance.
I mean, that balance
Like-
between having enough when you need it, but not having too much.
Right, okay.
Now, speaking of fight or flight, the adrenal glands also produce epinephrine and norepinephrine.
Oh, are those like adrenaline?
Yes, better known as adrenaline and noradrenaline.
Okay.
And these hormones are like your emergency alert system.
Okay.
They trigger that rapid response to danger.
So like that heart racing,
Exactly.
palms sweating feeling.
Yeah, they increase heart rate, blood pressure, blood flow to your muscles to prepare you to either fight or run away.
Wow, that's so cool how our body just like automatically does that.
It's incredible.
But what happens when the danger's got, like, do those hormones just stay in your system?
So your body has systems in place to kind of bring things back down.
Oh, okay.
So once the threat is gone, the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. That's your rest and digest system.
Okay.
So it slows your heart rate, it lowers your blood pressure, and it promotes relaxation.
Oh, so it's like a reset button.
It is like a reset button.
Okay, so we've covered growth, we've covered energy balance, stress.
Mm-hmm.
What other things do hormones regulate?
Well, we can't forget about reproduction.
Oh, right.
So many hormones involved there.
Okay.
It's a very complex interplay of different players.
So which ones are we talking about?
So we've got follicle stimulating hormone, or FSH,
Okay.
luteinizing hormone, or LH.
Mhm.
Those are both produced in the pituitary gland.
Okay.
And then we've got estrogen and progesterone from the ovaries.
Yeah. And testosterone from the testes.
Okay, I've definitely heard of all of those,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I could tell you exactly what they do.
Okay, so think of FSH and LH as like the directors of the reproductive orchestra.
Okay.
FSH stimulates the development of eggs in females and sperm in males.
Okay.
And LH triggers ovulation in females and testosterone production in males.
So they're both essential for that very beginning part of the process.
Yes, the production of those egg and sperm cells.
Okay, what about estrogen and progesterone?
Okay, so estrogen, you can think of it as like the architect.
Okay.
It's shaping the female body and preparing it for reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
So it promotes the development of breasts, it regulates the menstrual cycle, and it plays a role in bone health.
Wow. And progesterone.
Progesterone is like the interior designer.
Okay.
It's preparing the uterus for pregnancy and supporting a developing embryo.
Just kind of getting everything ready.
Exactly, making sure everything is ready.
Wow. And then testosterone is kind of the male counterpart. Exactly. Testosterone responsible for male characteristics like facial hair and a deeper voice.
Okay.
And it also plays a role in muscle growth, bone density, and sperm production.
Wow, this is all so fascinating.
Amazing.
Like, I never realized
Yeah.
how intricate and involved the endocrine system is.
It really is. It's working behind the scenes constantly to keep everything running smoothly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are there any other, like, surprising, fun facts about hormones?
So many fun facts.
Yeah.
Did you know that even like drinking coffee or beer can affect your hormones?
Really?
Yeah. Caffeine and alcohol can inhibit the production of antidiuretic hormone or ADH.
Is that why you have to pee more?
Exactly.
Shrink those things?
That's exactly why, because ADH helps your body conserve water.
Oh.
So when it's inhibited, you produce more urine.
It's really interesting.
It's a great example of how things that you might not think are related
Yeah.
can actually impact your hormones.
Wow. Are there other examples like that?
Yeah. Here's one related to pregnancy. So the hormone prolactin that comes from the pituitary gland that stimulates milk production,
Right.
but it's actually another hormone, oxytocin, also released by the pituitary that triggers milk ejection.
So you need both
You need both.
to make it all work.
It's amazing how they work together.
Wow. I'm learning so much.
It's a beautiful example of teamwork.
I'm eager to hear more about
Yeah,
kind of how all of this affects our health and well-being.
absolutely.
So we've talked about a lot with hormones, like how they act like keys to unlock cells and all those feedback loops
We have.
that keep everything balanced.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But
Yeah.
how does all this actually relate to like my health, you know?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
How does it all come together?
Yeah.
So think about stress, for example.
Okay.
We talked about how chronic stress can lead to those high levels of cortisol for a long time. And that can have like a domino effect
Yeah.
on the rest of your body.
Yeah. You mentioned like the immune system, sleep eat, even weight gain.
Exactly.
It's crazy how one hormone can affect so much.
It really is. And that just highlights how important it is
Yeah.
to manage stress through
Right.
things like exercise or mindfulness and getting enough sleep.
Right.
All of those things can actually directly impact your hormone balance.
So it's not just about feeling better mentally.
No,
It's about keeping our hormones in check too.
absolutely.
What about diet? Does that play a role?
Huge role.
Right.
What you eat can really impact hormone production and function.
Okay.
So, for example, a diet that's high in processed foods and sugar, that can lead to insulin resistance, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes.
That makes sense. So it's like we're giving our endocrine system the right fuel
Yeah,
to do its job.
absolutely. And then exercise,
Yeah.
another powerful tool.
Okay.
Regular physical activity can improve insulin sensitivity, it can help regulate cortisol levels, and it can even boost testosterone production.
So many good reasons to exercise.
So many benefits.
Yeah, it seems like all these healthy habits are really important
They are.
for keeping our hormones in balance.
It's all about supporting your body.
Yeah.
And remember, your body is this incredibly complex and interconnected system.
Right.
The endocrine system is not just doing its own thing.
Yeah.
It's constantly talking to other systems,
Okay.
like the nervous system, the immune system, even the digestive system.
So it's like this giant communication network
It
with
is
hormones as the messengers.
a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And that communication is happening all the time, even when you don't realize it.
Wow.
It's what allows your body to adapt to change,
Yeah.
to maintain that equilibrium, and ultimately to thrive.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I'm finally starting to understand
Yeah.
how powerful and complex this system is.
Good.
You know, it's not just like some abstract thing from bio class.
Right.
This is like really fundamental to who we are.
It is. It's a part of you.
Yeah.
It makes you.
So is there anything else that you think our listeners should kind of think about as they go on their own?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
How about this? How might our increasing understanding of the endocrine system lead to new ways to improve human health?
Oh, that's a good one.
And address health challenges?
Yeah, I'm already thinking of all sorts of possibilities.
Right.
Like new treatments for hormone-related disorders or even preventing disease.
Exactly. It's a field that is just bursting with potential.
Yeah.
And this journey of discovery, it's just beginning.
Well, I feel a lot more equipped now
Good.
to understand hormones.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's been really enlightening.
It's been my pleasure.
And remember, everyone, we have that list of hormones
yeah.
and their functions in the show notes.
Yes, definitely check that out.
So keep learning, stay curious, and until next time, take care of your amazing endocrine system.
Bye, everyone.